The Dodgers are in a stretch of playing 4 games in 36 hours. The Lakers are asking prospective head coaches what they would do with Russell Westbrook. And Kings players gave their input as to what changes should be made for next season. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is faithful Angelenos. It's May 17th. And I'm in a pretty good mood. This is unfortunately, though, the last day that I broadcast from the home studio. I'll be on the road tomorrow. Hey, if you like the content that we've been putting out about LA sports for the last 3 months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. Please notice my fan base on the other side of the window, staring at me as if I'm like a guppy in an aquarium. Anyway, feel free to clickety-clack the like or subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. If you hit that, it'll let you know when new videos come in. I try to drop them between 9 and 10 a.m. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. I'm not always right. Now, before we get to the main 2 topics about the Dodgers and Lakers, let's go through the scoreboard and notes. Last night, Chris Taylor hits a 2-run home run. Tony Gonsolin improves to 4-0, and Madison Bumgarner wept the bitterest of tears. It was Dodgers 5, Arizona 4. Today, the Dodgers will play the Diamondbacks again in a split doubleheader. Noon and 7 p.m. are your starts. It's the first doubleheader at Dodger Stadium in 23 years, back when we all had a future. Meanwhile, Minnesota will play the Sparks at 7:30. Start off talking a little USC football. They have landed a 4-star safety commitment for the class of 2023. Braxton Myers, a safety out of Capel, Texas High School. Now, the addition pushes USC's class in the recruiting rankings to number 8. They don't have a lot of prospects signed. It's just that the ones that they do have signed are all 4 or 5 stars. See, because according to what people are saying, SC now has, quote, every single imaginable recruiting advantage that a program can ask for. So yeah, there's quality with what USC is bringing in. Meanwhile, for the LA Kings, Victor Arbitson is scheduled to have back surgery this morning for a protruding disc. He could miss 3 to 5 months. That might mean that he misses training camp, which is problematic, but now you know why he wasn't playing against the Oilers. The exit interviews for the Kings, the players were saying that there's not enough size on defense. They all have pretty much every defenseman coming up through the King system. They're the same size. They offer the same skill set. They're asking for a little variety to try and shake things up on defense a little bit. Also, they'd like another top 6 forward for the power play. That is not too big of an ask. It's not a major overhaul of the roster. The Athletic is reporting that the Lakers are asking potential head coaches what they would do with Russell Westbrook. And if I were a potential coach, I would be asking, aren't you supposed to be figuring out what to do with Russell Westbrook first? That's your job. Then it becomes my job, right? So the hint is that Westbrook might just stay because Phil Jackson, who is in the Lakers' good graces again, apparently likes the guy. How would Russell Westbrook fit in with the system of some of these incoming possibilities at coach? Time will tell. Former Lakers player, meanwhile, Rajon Rondo, allegedly pulled a gun on a woman, threatened to kill her. Now, that happened in Kentucky, so you don't have to hide the women and the daughters and the girlfriends. Rajon Rondo is not on a crazy crime spree or anything like that. And besides, I already know the jokes. Before you say it, I already know the joke. Who cares if Rajon Rondo has a gun? We all know he can't shoot. I get it. I knew the joke before you guys thought it. I anticipated it. There's no need to put that in my notes. Now, I prefer to talk about the Dodgers only about once a week. I mean, I'll mention the scores, maybe a highlight or two, but I don't like to go on long rants about the Dodgers more than once a week because if we go on a game-by-game basis, it would sound like there's a reason to panic. You take today's doubleheader, for example. First pitch is in about 2.5 hours, and only a couple of minutes ago did we find out who is pitching in Game 1. It's Ryan Pepio. We had no idea until about 5 minutes ago. And because there's such uncertainty in the Dodgers rotation, that allows some sports writers the joy of stirring up a panic. And trust me, there are sports writers who they live to stir up a panic. Take Bill Plaschke of the LA Times. Man, I'm so disappointed in him. He used to be smart, right? In terms of what he was writing. Then he started to appear on ESPN's Around the Horn. And take it from an old school journalism guy like me. There's a problem between, say, print journalism and broadcast journalism. It's not just ESPN, but it's also CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Guys like me, we would just take the facts, arrange it, most important to least important, print it, and let you guys make your own decisions. But television is specifically designed to draw an emotion out of you. Whether it's humor from comedy, whether it's cop dramas, medical dramas, intrigue. And news is no exception. They want to make you feel an emotion. So Bill Plaschke, if he's going to want to appear on ESPN, he has to write emotionally. He has to try to stir up your emotions. And that's why all of his columns are overreactions. Oh my God, the Dodgers can't trust Julio Urias. Oh my God, they are cursed. The curse of Trevor Bauer. Everybody cower in fear. And so I'm glancing over this hyperbolic bullcrap, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? The Dodgers are in first place. What's the panic for? I mean, the Dodgers have had lousy stretches before, worse than what they had last week when they went 2-5, and things still turned out just fine. Last year, the Dodgers, they started out 13-2. Oh my God, they're the greatest team ever. But then they went 4-14, which dropped them back to 500. But how did they finish? With 106 wins. The 2018 Dodgers had a terrible April. They went on to play the World Series against the Red Sox. 2017, when they go to face the Astros and the garbage can of doom, they lost 17 out of 18 games in September. So a 2-5 week is not a reason to panic. What do we know about last week? Well, we've learned that the starting pitching isn't deep, but we already knew that. We had a feeling Clayton Kershaw was going to get hurt. But since then, the Dodgers are on a 2-game winning streak. Tony Gonsolin, the fifth starter in the rotation, he strikes out 7 in 6 innings last night. The Dodgers still lead the league in ERA. So right now, the Dodgers have 2 holes to fill in the rotation. Kershaw with his psychoiliac injured, with his, it's basically hip adjacent, okay? You need torque through your hips when you pitch. It hurts, so it hurts when he pitches. He's going to be out for another couple of weeks. And then Andrew Heaney, who had a problem in his left shoulder. Now, we're getting mixed reports on Heaney. He might be out until June, but nobody seems too concerned with Kershaw. Even Kershaw is not all that concerned. So right now, we are about a little more than halfway through May. What we are looking at is 2, maybe 3 weeks of, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because presumably Kershaw comes back at the end of the month, and then we start hearing more about how close Andrew Heaney is to coming back. That's reality. How bad would the Dodgers be over 2 weeks? Even if they went 0-14, which is extremely doubtful to happen, we've given you previous examples of them going through terrible streaks and still reaching the World Series in recent years. So that, in my opinion, there's no reason to panic. And in the meantime, the people that you do have that you know are going to be taking the mound include Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, who won 20 games last year, and Tony Gonsolin. And then you say, okay, well, we're going to mix in some spot starters from the minors. Ryan Pepio, he made his major league debut last week. Sports the best changeup in baseball, and he's been in the minors all this time. Michael Grove made his debut last week from the minors. Andre Jackson made 3 starts for the Dodgers last year. He's still in the minors. He theoretically could come up and eat some innings too. Basically, what I'm getting at is, if the Dodgers can go through these next couple of weeks and they wind up at best somewhere in first place, and at worst 2 or 3 games out of first place, that's terrific. There's no reason to panic. And by the way, side note, I realize some of you guys are saying, well, there might even be another option with Bobby Miller, who's the top overall pitching prospect for LA. I would put that on ice. He's on a severe pitch limit. How severe? He was pulled after 31 pitches in his last start. That was his pitch limit. So I wouldn't count him. But having said that, Buehler, Urias, Gonsolin, and then you kind of hold your nose for a couple of days while you try to figure out if any of the minor leaguers can give him some quality innings. Live with that for a couple of weeks. I don't think it's the end of the world. And besides that, they are playing the Diamondbacks, so there's a reason for optimism. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, thank you. I appreciate it. Feel free to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. I'm James. I'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Take care.